Me not being there is enormous for them.
And then on the flip side for Philadelphia, as you kind of digest what we're seeing here, so the big news with Cam Jurgens, and yet he is technically active, Logan, so we anticipate perhaps in an emergency situation that we may see him?
Yeah, I would think so. Anytime someone's active, that means they got the ability to play in the game. You know, we'll see how much. Don't know if he'll start. I think that's some gameplay there by the Eagles. We don't know. Tune in to see. But if he's active, dressed on the sideline, he can get in if there's an injury. He could be playing. We don't know, but he's not inactive, so you might see him out there.
So, again, just to rehash, if Jurgens is unavailable or doesn't start the game, you're taking Landon Dickerson to center, you're taking Tanner Skeet and you're playing him at guard. Is that going to be initially the plan, if that's going to be how we play it out, Pete?
Yeah, and look, he's played center before in his career. It's not like you're moving a guard over to center who's done snaps during the week. I mean, he's been a center in his career. He was a center in Alabama, so I don't think it's going to be that big a deal.
I think it's a pretty big deal just because the velocity of the snap is going to be different, and then also the inflection of the voice. Like if you're not accustomed to being the center or when to snap the football, that could be a little different.
But he practiced all week, though.
I mean, that's only 1 week. Like, that's 2 or 3 practices.
I'll give you final word, but what do you think?
I trust him. I think they'll be all right. They'll figure it out. Like you said, he's played it before. Got a week of practice now. If he was going in the middle of the second quarter, I would be more concerned, but I think they'll be all right. Stoutland University, I trust Jeff Stoutland to figure it out.
Great coach.
When we talk about this Philadelphia team, and I know we've sort of established this throughout the season on this show, on HQ throughout the week, that this Philly offense has become a Saquon Barkley-centric led offense. Do we anticipate that will continue today, Logan, when we have a Commanders team coming into town and a berth on the line?
It's a layup. You gave me a layup, Tim. Absolutely. I mean, absolutely, especially with the Jalen Hurts injury. Right? That's going to take out Jalen Hurts, maybe with the called run plays. Now, can he run with the knee brace on and how well he'll do it? We don't know. But it starts, stops, and ends with Saquon Barkley. They have the best offensive line in the playoffs. He's going to need to run them to the Super Bowl. I think that the Jalen Hurts injury could effectively let Jalen Hurts play better. I think it takes pressure off of Jalen Hurts. I think he can't run. The game plan on Jalen Hurts, I'll tell it on the show, if this guy's not open, he's going to run through the B gap. Well, now when you got a hurt knee, you can't really run through the B gap. It might make him get the ball out of his hands quicker, play quarterback from the pocket quicker, but more plays will definitely be called for Saquon Barkley today.
Pete, you agree with that?
Yeah, but what I want to see is how Jalen Hurts can run. Because if his ability to run is taken out of the equation, it changes the way you defend the run against Barkley. The threat to pull it and go is always there when you're playing this offense. If he can't do that, it changes the way you play him. Now, Barkley's been really successful against 8-man fronts. Teams have 8-man. The Commanders had an 8-man front against him late in that game, and he went for 39 yards and a touchdown in the last meeting. So, and last week against the Rams, that long touchdown at the end of the game, 8-man front. So it's not like you just load up against the run to try and stop him. But if he can't pull the ball, I think that changes the way they play offensively. If he's not capable of becoming the run threat that he is. We saw that early in the game against the Rams. He pulled it, went down the sideline, nobody touched him. If he can't do that, it changes how you defend.
But if Jurgens is also out with all the changes that we've been talking about, I'm curious to get your guys' thoughts of if Saquon, is he still going to be able to run freely, you think, today?
I would think so. Tyler Steen is a guy that's played some snaps, and mainly right guard. Now he's going to left guard, and Landon Dickerson was at guard, and he's had a history of playing center. To me, the biggest thing for the Commanders is how do you defend the zone scheme? Like, that's what really is killed them the last couple weeks. Even going back to last week when against Jahmyr Gibbs, like they could not stop the zone scheme. And D-Bud and Logan, you know this. If one guy's out of his gap in zone, it could be a house call. And with Saquon Barkley, how explosive he is, that's why so many times you see him get to the second level and nobody's touched him because one defensive lineman is out of his gap, and now you got a big canvas. So that's the biggest thing for this Commanders defense and Joe Witt. They got to figure out. They did switch some things up in the second half and went more bare front and kind of mitigated a little bit of what the Lions did. Be interesting to see if they do that today.
I think for the Commanders to have a chance, they're going to have to create some turnovers because what Jalen Hurts does very, very well is take care of the football. A lot of people say, oh, I don't see enough explosive plays or getting it to A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith. But when you have a guy like Saquon Barkley back there that you can hand it off to, and when Jalen Hurts is in the gun with them, that's also another threat that you have to defend as a run defender. We'll see how healthy Jalen Hurts is pretty early on in practice all week. All reports coming out is he was moving pretty well. And we all know the power of Toradol once you get to Sunday. If you're moving well throughout the week, you're definitely going to be moving well when the playoffs are on the line. So I think they'll be just fine. And they get explosive plays more than anybody else in the run game as opposed to the pass game. So Kellen Moore, Jalen Hurts getting in, checking into the right runs, checking into the bubble, away from the bubble. They do a great job of that. But if the Commanders want a chance, you got to create some turnovers, either with that ball in the air or forcing some fumbles.
Haven't spent a lot of time talking about the wideouts for Philadelphia. You got A.J. Brown.
Done anything.
You got Devontae.
They're complete. I mean,
They're turning around, handing the ball
Reading
off.
books. I don't know.
I mean, think about it. That hangs over this team. I don't care what they say. You got your wide receiver.
That the volume's not there.
You got your wide receiver reading his book on the sideline. He's clearly he's disappointed with his production. You know, wide receivers are never happy unless they're getting the football, whether you're going to lose. I don't care what they say. So he wants the ball. So that hangs over them today.
Yeah.
Do they get him the football?
Correct.
If you're the Commanders, do you allow your corners? You know, you got Lattimore's a lot more. He's a lot healthier than he was back in the day. And Mikey Sanders still starting to really play good football on the outside. So do you man up and play? You know, go to your 8-man front and say, go ahead. If you beat us, you beat us. Let's see Hurts throw the football. I think that's something to keep an eye on too.
And I like that you brought up that point because when you go back to that game, let's not forget the last time these two teams played, Jalen Hurts got hurt. But Kenny Pickett was able to throw the ball down the field. A.J. Brown had a couple big completions down the field. So if Joe Witt does decide to run that bare front and go man coverage with Mike Sanders still and also Marshawn Lattimore, then A.J. Brown has to eat. Like, you have to get him, figure out a way to get him the ball. Yes, I know Saquon Barkley is going to be the focal point, but you got to get your receivers the ball, especially in the NFC Championship game.
As DBs, though, would you rather anticipate high volume from the Philly wideouts? Are you worried that because they can still go over the top maybe twice a game instead of Saquon? Logan, what are we thinking in terms of the other side of the ball, how you guys would anticipate going into this game?
I would think as a DB, a run-centric offense is more dangerous to you because it's a run, then it's not. Then it's a play action. They want big chunks off the play action. Where a pass-happy offense, right, that's going to be maybe shorter plays, quick timing. You get to play a little bit more. But they'll kind of lull you to sleep at times, which is why I kind of think in the Jalen Hurts injury, if I'm Kellen Moore, right, I'm not designing all this quarterback run for him. I'm designing plays that when we do have to pass it versus an 8-man front, how do we get out of his hand quickly? How does the play action look? How do we scheme A.J. Brown to get open quickly for Jalen Hurts? Jalen Hurts doesn't have time to play his normal rhythm to wait 5 seconds, run around, then find something. He's got to get the ball out of his hands. I think the Eagles have to scheme up better pass game to get it out of his hands.
Yeah, I'm right there on the same page. When you can't kind of get lulled to sleep, but these are very capable, very dynamic receivers. And A.J. Brown, once he catches the ball, it's still a whole nother play, almost like Brandon Marshall back in the day. He's a load to bring down in the open field. And Devontae Smith is as smooth as they come. Now, Goddard's a little banged up, but those two wide receivers are very, very capable. And somebody's got to wear, you got to wear the hat on the play. And it's usually going to be the DBs, probably in some one-on-one situations, because, coming into the game, we got to stop the guy that's averaging 162 yards right now per game, and that's Saquon Barkley.
You'd still rather cover somebody than come up and force, though, wouldn't you?
I mean, you got to do both.
I know you got to do both, but which one would you rather do?
I mean, DBs, you definitely want the ball thrown your way. That's what I want, at least.
I want to talk about something that D-Bus talked about, because me and Pete talked about that this week, the inventiveness of Kellen Moore. When you look at some of the pass concepts, they're very basic, and that's why the Packers had a lot of success against him on defense. I know people will say Jalen Hurts needs to do better throwing the ball. I can't tell you, D-Bus, how many times I turn on the field on 3rd and 6, and they were throwing short of the sticks. Routes were short of the sticks. He has to do a better job of creating things so that Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown can have opportunities to catch the ball. Help your quarterback out. So it's going to be incumbent on him, especially if they're able to slow down Saquon, to have an inventive pass game to get the pass catchers involved.
All right, I'm being told we have to hit a break. By the way, Commanders fans, we will talk about your team. This is not all Philly-based. I promise we'll get there, but we do have to hit a break here on the show because the Big Ten on CBS just wrapped up. Maryland and Indiana from Bloomington. It was a 1-point game. We'll tell you who won, and we'll have a chat with the guy that called the game. Steve Lapp is coming up. Let's get to a game that just went final. Big Ten on CBS, Maryland and Indiana from Bloomington. And it's Rodney Rice with less than 10 seconds left to go, hitting the three. Indiana would call a timeout, have one chance, but Miles Rice's attempt falls short, and Maryland goes on the road and wins 79-78. Coming into this game, they were slight favorites, so they actually don't cover the number, and the over also hits out in Bloomington at Assembly Hall today. Let's bring in Steve Lapis, who was on the call with Andrew Catalon on CBS. So, Steve, you had a good one that went down to the wire. Coming into the game, you were talking about how much post presence we were going to see in this game. Did it play out that way?
No, not really. I mean, for Indiana, it did in the second half when Renew got going. But for Maryland, you know, their big kids have been great all year, Reese and Queen. But this game was about their perimeter guys making threes. They dominated the game. And obviously the shot that Rodney Rice made with 10 seconds to go was a tremendous three-point shot. This is a very good Maryland team because not only do they have those two good big guys, but they got three very good guards also.
It's been a good week for Kevin Willard. He beat Illinois. Now he's got a win against Indiana. You mentioned it. How do they parlay this in league play?
Well, I think the big thing is now they've proven that they can win with the big guys not really having their best day. I mean, Queen was probably one of the worst games he's played all year, and they still were able to come in a tough environment against a good team. Not a great team, but a good team in Indiana, and win at their place. I think it bodes well for them. I think they're going to be very dangerous come NCAA tournament time.
All right, Steve Lapis on the call with Andrew Catalon, spending a few minutes with us with a recap on HQ. Steve, certainly appreciate it. And a reminder about some hoops that's coming up here on our family of networks over on CBS Sports Network, St. Louis and Davidson, Navy and Army, and then Navy and Army once again. It's all happening, and also make sure you check out the CBS Sports app.
You see, time can be a funny thing. And sometimes it brings you back to all the places you've already been. Who you are today, a collection of those moments all added up. But the road you traveled, now irrelevant.
It takes every single one of us. We're not done yet.
For some, the scars credential for re-entry.
Eagles worked so hard to come here. They had an outstanding season.
This time revitalized with a fresh set of legs.
Touchdown! Saquon Barkley!
Others on their own timeline.
Come on, anybody, anywhere,
And what better time than right here, right now, to claim king of an entire conference.
You don't take nothing but you being yourself.
3 hours to confront those 13 seconds.
Everything we work for is on this moment right here. You cannot change this game. You go out there and take it.
Because you haven't been brought here to change the past, but you do get to write your future.
Oh my goodness! There he goes! A Josh Allen explosion!
So who's it gonna be this time?
Nothing like a Musso special here on Championship Sunday. Back here with Pete, Jay,
He makes you want to hit somebody, doesn't he?
And gets you ready for
He
the
gets you
game.
riled up. That's what Moose certainly does. And so, Commanders fans, we have now entered the chat. We're going to be talking about you guys because Jaden Daniels has been fantastic. And guys, it's not usually supposed to happen this way. Relatively new ownership, new head coach, top 2 pick, and then you're on the precipice of a Super Bowl, and Jaden Daniels could be the first rookie quarterback to start a Super Bowl.
Wow.
Deeb, I'm going to start with you. What continues to stand out to you about what he's been able to do, not only in the postseason, but really all season long?
I mean, it's just he's the opposite of what you expect from a young quarterback, a rookie quarterback especially. He's always so calm, so decisive, and the moment is never too big for him. He's super clutch on 3rd down, even 4th down. They go for it on 4th down more than anybody, and he's always converting. The last time they played the Eagles, when they had a bunch of turnovers, but he still threw 5 touchdowns, were able to give him over the hump. He's just a special guy, but his decisiveness at the quarterback position, and as DBs, Logan will tell you, it's nothing worse than being in the perfect play, doing your job, and then the play breaks down, and he does something special with his legs and then makes something happen. So he can beat you from the pocket, he can beat you on the edge. He's just a special guy. Cliff Kingsbury seems to put him in all the right situations.
Unreal. One of the greatest rookie of all time. We could put it up there. I mean, greatest rookie quarterback without a doubt. You're going to hear the words. We're going to throw it out: calm, poised, cool, collected, operating at such a high level. You're going to hear all those terms about him because we're all shocked to see it at a kid his age. But I'm just going to break it down to you. Like, the way they put the numbers in his hands with the RPO plays. He has the ball in his hands. I have 3 receivers over here, 2 DBs over there. I'm going to throw it over there. I have the run game here. Do I read the defense in? Do I want to take it? Do I want to give it? He's given 3 options almost on every play, and he makes the right decision every time. If the playoffs were to end today, he's the best player in the playoffs today. That's what he's done in his first trip. When Mahomes is in his playoffs, and Josh Allen's in his playoffs, and Jalen Hurts is in his playoffs, and what he's done in the playoffs has been unreal. And it's by putting the ball in his hands. He has to make decisions every single play. They're not taking the ball out of his hands like Jalen Hurts. They're not taking it away from him. He has it. He's made the right decisions time and time again. Outplayed Baker Mayfield, outplayed Jared Goff, and now he's got to outplay Saquon Barkley, Jalen Hurts, and the Philadelphia Eagles.
Yeah, when you talk about Jaden Daniels and most rookies that are able to get to this precipice, and we saw Mark Sanchez right there. That team was led by this run game and this defense. Like, this offense flows through Jaden Daniels, and it's rare to see a rookie do that. I think the marriage between Cliff Kingsbury and Jaden Daniels has been amazing, right? You talked about how it's a numbers game for them, right? And nobody processes better as a rookie quarterback than Jaden Daniels. He knows right away what you're trying to do. I mean, I can't recall how many times Brian Branch was trying to disguise out of the slot and he was blitzing, and Jaden Daniels knew it was coming. He threw the screen right where he was coming from. Like, the way he processes and is able to get the ball out of his hands. They talked about the poise that he has. And I agree with you, Logan, right? Right now, he's the best player in these playoffs. And until somebody proves me differently, from the tape I've seen, nobody's playing at a higher level than Jaden Daniels right now in the playoffs. So it's just been out of this world how he's played. And again, most rookies are kind of led by their defense or run game. this team has ran through Jaden Daniels, which makes him a very special player.
You know what I love about it? They play fast. They dictate the tempo to you. There are so many teams that don't anymore. They let the defense dictate to them. With everything going on and all the changing at the snap and the rotations and everything, they're dictating to you, so you're not allowed to do that. You don't do as much of that. And I think that makes him even better. And look, the Eagles pressured him 19 times on his 46 attempts last game. They sacked him once. You know, we talk about pocket feel. I've always been a big pocket feel guy. Tom Brady, he did it a little differently. He knew how to slide. Peyton Manning knew how to slide. Dan Marino knew how to move. He has great pocket feel because he's not only can he feel it and move, but he can get out of there. And when he gets out of there, he creates problems for you. And we saw it in the last meeting against the Eagles. He can really move with his legs and create problems.
By the way, Pete, just to clarify what Logan was saying, you want to add on, I'll get to in a second. So best rookie season ever, or just best rookie ever? Like
season.
Okay. Seasons are tough. Randy Moss, these guys. I will add one more thing. Whatever that German VR technology that he did,
that's got to be.
I'm investing in it. I got to go be an investor, right? Because that is going to change the game. This guy, they said, puts the Oculus on, puts the goggles on, he goes through his reads at 125% speed, and that is in the process. I'm going to be an investor in that. I'm going to figure that out. And I'm going to put my son on that at 6 years old for soccer, because how Jaden Daniels processes has been unreal. I haven't seen anything like it. And I think it's the future of technology in football and what these kids are coming out of college being able to do.
Wasn't that like a caveat? He said, whoever takes me needs to help me get this machine and this thing infrastructure.
Obviously, it's helping. Obviously, it's helping.
His mom came out this week and said, all girls got to stay away from him. So maybe that's helping him, too.
Making sure he's focused in on the game. Again, I mentioned ownership, head coach, quarterback, also veteran leadership, Logan. We've got guys with Super Bowl rings, Bobby Wagner, Zach Ertz, just to name a few, Wiley and Allegretti and something. So when you mix that on a team that was, winning 4 or 5 games last year, to turn it around and be on the doorstep of a Super Bowl ring has got to be big for this team.
I mean, they did it perfectly, right? They hit on the GM and Peters, right? He comes in, he drafts. Great draft, right? You obviously get the quarterback. You get Sandstrom. You get some impactful rookies. Free agency, that's always hit or miss.
Yes.
He brought in great free. He got the best out of Zach Ertz. Bobby Wagner's looking good. Frankie Louvu, been amazing. So his free agents are a good fit, right? Then you make the trade for Lattimore. Zach going to pay off. They got him there. We said this on the show when they got him to cover A.J. Brown. That's why he's there. #1 corner to cover the #1 guys in the NFC. So everything they did, the mix of veteran leadership in free agency, the mix of the young guys, and it seemed like they all love ball. They're all love, and when you're a rookie quarterback, mom's talking about we don't care about girls, we just want to win. There's not too many egos you're hearing about. There's not too many prima donnas. There's not too many guys worried about their contract, not playing. They seem they got the right football player mentality in there, and that's why you see success quickly.
You rarely see. I mean, everything he said, but Dan Quinn, like he has to get a ton of credit too for just changing the whole direction of where this team is going. You obviously when we talk about organizations and franchises, it always starts from the top down. So from the ownership level, GM, the head coach, and the quarterback, and for them to hit on all cylinders, and now with Payne out, they'll be starting 9 defenders who wasn't even on a team last year. Like, that's crazy. They're in the NFC Championship. Rarely do you see a turnaround like this. We saw C.J. Stroud, his amazing rookie year last year, what Nick Caserio has been able to do with the Texans, but what they're being able to do with the Commanders this last year, unbelievable. Never seen it before.
Yeah, roster construction is a real thing. And you see some of the veterans right there, Nick Allegretti, Andrew Wiley, Bobby Wagner, they have Super Bowl rings, Zach Ertz. But there's also something to be said for young, naive confidence. And some of those young players you talked about, Logan, they don't know what they don't know. Jaden Daniels hasn't been in this scenario. Mike Sanders still, Johnny Newton. They're just out there playing free because they don't know any better. And I think that's where roster construction is great, because you got to have guys that have been there, done that can kind of rein in the younger guys. But you also have to have these younger guys to go out there and just play free and not worry about the consequences. And that's what those young players are doing for them right now. So you said shout out to Adam Peters. That's my guy. He did a heck of a job this offseason, because a lot of those names you talked about, like Bobby Wagner is played at an elite level, but people thought he was maybe tailing off. He found the fountain of youth this year and was an all-pro. Frankie Louvu, you knew I was a big fan of his. I knew when Dan Quinn got his hands on him, he would use him like Michael Parsons. All-pro year. Dorrance Armstrong, sacked fumble last week. Wasn't a big name in free agency. Dante Fowler. These are guys that are good frontline starters, but they didn't break the bank when it came to free agency, but they got the right combination of veterans that have played at a high level and also having some of these young guys that have naive confidence. confidence.
I have a message for Commanders fans. Put your feet up today. Put them up. Sit back. Win or lose, you are relevant for the next decade and a half. You don't have to worry about it anymore. There's no hey, look, this is gravy. Whatever you do the rest of the way this year, this is gravy. Rookie quarterback, this is all stuff you didn't expect to happen. But you know for the next decade, you don't have to worry about it anymore. Nothing. You might have a Mahomes-like run inside this kid. That's how good he is. And when you have a quarterback to this level of play, he cures all the ills. You have ills, and we see the Chiefs have plenty of ills, but the quarterback always cures them, and that's what the Commanders fans, win or lose today, sit back, you have your guy for the next decade and a half.
That sounds fun in theory, Pete, but you know there's going to be a lot of Commanders fans biting their nails because they haven't been around this in a long time.
Of course you want to win the game. You like to get, this would be the early start to the gravy train.
So will Commanders fans be happy or sad after today, Pete? Who wins and why?
I picked the Commanders to win. I was much more maybe confident in it if Payne had played and Cosme had played. You know, I knew Cosme wasn't going to go, but I think they're going to find a way. I just believe in this kid so much. I loved him coming out of school. I said it in the draft process. He's the most improved player I've ever seen with my own eyes throughout any draft process since I've ever been covering this, from Arizona State to what he did at LSU to where he is now, most improved player ever. I think he's going to have his moment today. I'm taking the Commanders.
Right there with Pete, man. I know there's a shock because I think the Eagles are probably the most complete team when you talk about the offense and defense. But I just think this team is destined, right? I said it multiple times. There's no player, no quarterback I trust more with the game on the line right now pertaining to this season than Jaden Daniels. And one thing he doesn't do is get beat by double digits. So it's going to be a close game. And if he gets the ball at the end, they call him the Slim Reaper for a reason because he will end you. I'm taking the Commanders in the upset. I'm a little bit concerned about Jalen Hurts, his mobility with the knee injury, and then also when you look at Cam Jurgens not being able to play. And even Quinyon Mitchell, he missed most of that game last week. How healthy is he truly this week? I just think this Commanders team is destined. Give me the Commanders in the upset.
Okay.
Ooh, both Commanders.
Right?
Surprising, but I'm gonna go with Philly. I'm gonna go with Philly, and I'm gonna tell you why. The trenches. When you talk about playoff football, for me, I always look at the trenches, offensive, defensive line, and then the defense. Which defense has better? I love Jaden Daniels. I think Jaden Daniels is the better quarterback in this game, but I do trust Jalen Hurts as well. I trust Jalen Hurts to make right decisions. I think he'll be healthier than most people anticipate, and I think he'll win this ball game at home, taking care of the football, relying on Saquon Barkley and that offensive line, and that defense is going to do their thing on all levels.
Yeah, I think it's going to be an extremely close game. I really do. Both of them are going to be really close games. But for this one, really close, I'm going to go with Philly, though. Philly at home. And my reason is Jaden Daniels got to go against the #1 defense. And Detroit did not tackle as well. So they're not a good tackling team. The Eagles are a good tackling team. I know Jaden Daniels is great. If he has the ball last, he'll probably win. But if they don't stop Saquon Barkley, it's not going to be a game anyway. So Saquon Barkley and that offensive line, the Commanders have a tough test. Jaden Daniels does have to go against the #1 defense. But for that factor, I'm going with the Saquon and the Philadelphia Eagles getting it done.
All right, let's bring Furman back into the fold again. Todd, you want to break the tie once again? The guys are split in this game as well. And I hear about some line movement in this one. Tell us a bit about that before you also give out your play.
Well, if I get to pick the game straight up, I'm going to back the Eagles. So I'm going to agree with Logan and Darius in terms of that side. Do I think there's any value, though, in running to lay the 6? No, not at this point, Tommy. But we mentioned the line, and this number opened as low as 4.5. Why is that interesting? Because the last time these two teams met, Philadelphia closed a 4-point favorite on the road in Washington. So it just goes to show how the market has kind of shifted amid this Commanders' late season surge. And keep in mind, in that game, Washington still needed to outscore Philadelphia 22-6 in the fourth quarter to be able to get that thing home in an outright win. So I think it was a buy low opportunity for Philly, but the injury is no doubt a concern along the offensive line, and of course the knee of Jalen Hurts. So we've seen this thing move all over the place. We've seen some under money as well, from 48.5 where this market peaked down to 46.5 where it currently sits at FanDuel. And I think that works to a similar game script, that Philadelphia wants to run the football and that Washington would be thrilled to put together long time-consuming drives with a couple of fourth-down conversions. But for me, guys, the angle that I want to attack is I want to sell De'Ami Brown stock at the top of the market, and I'm going to take him under 3.5 receptions in this matchup. When I look at what Philadelphia brings to the table, both with the ability to generate pressure on the interior and to cover in space with an elite defensive backfield, it is a far cry from the matchups that De'Ami Brown thrives arrived in each of the last 2 weeks. We knew that Tampa's secondary was going to leave a lot to be desired, and the Detroit Lions the exact same way, especially as they lost healthy bodies throughout the course of the game. So I think it's a short, controlled passing game. Terry McLaurin will no doubt get his touches. The back, Zach Ertz, but I think De'Ami Brown is the odd man out, and I can sell stock at the top guys. I'm going to take him under 3.5 catches. Stayed away from yards, though, because he may have an explosive in his arsenal tonight.
All right, Todd, certainly appreciate that handicap for that game. I want to remind everybody about the Pushing the Pile podcast with Kyle Long, Mike Renner, Leger, and Pete, regular guest on that podcast. Scan the QR code and also check them out on YouTube. Well, we're going to send Logan and D-Butt to the DB dungeon coming up next. And that guy who made the pick is not going to be available. Taylor Rapp, how big of a miss is that going to be for Buffalo? The guys will explain. Welcome back to HQ, presented by Geico. Switch and save. Get more with Geico. So here's that divisional round best bets recap. Bills and Eagles cashed for me. Todd Furman, Robert Woods, Pete Prisco with the over. Washington, Detroit. I think that was over in the first half, right, Pete? By halftime, you were doing all right.
I was doing well.
And producer pick. Right. Boy, that Chiefs 7.5. That's a good time to get that 7.5. A lot was said about 8.5 to 9.5 for that game. All winners last week. So you know what that means? We're going to do our very, very best to try to replicate that, of course, because it's so easy. It's just the way sports betting is, right? Just get it done. Not. We're going to try, though.
We're going to try.
Yeah.
We're going to get it done.
Pete back here, Todd with us here. So, Todd, why don't you get us started here on Championship Sunday to try to get a winning bet here?
For sure, Tommy. And one thing I wanted to get in and give our research team a ton of credit. They discovered some nice nuggets about what the Commanders are up against in the game today. When you talk about teams from the same division in a conference championship, one team favored by 6 points or more, 6-1 straight up and against the number favors Philly. Washington working against a bit of history, trying to become only the third team in the Super Bowl era to win 3 straight playoff games as a dog of 3+ points. So a little bit that Washington has to stare down. But I'm going to go to the game on CBS and talked about it a little bit earlier in the show. Much has been made of the demise of the Kansas City Chiefs offense. And if you look at the season-long counting stats, they don't leave anyone brimming with confidence from a points per game standpoint, a total yards per game, and red zone efficiency. But I think today, against this Buffalo defense, the same Bills defense that gave up more than 7 yards per play to the Ravens last week and didn't force Baltimore to punt a single time, Kansas City's offense gets right. And I'm going to take them over their team total at 12.5 in the first half. Kansas City had plenty of opportunities last week against Houston, just settled for field goals instead of scoring touchdowns. I think this week they're going to break everything out from an offensive standpoint and expect them to get to 13 points or more before they get to the break. Chiefs team total in the first half over the total, gentlemen.
Okay, Todd really likes that play because he's given out more than once. Pete, what about you?
He likes it not only once, twice. How about 3 times, Todd? Give it to us again.
Yeah, he likes it. That means he likes it.
Hey,
that's why it's the best
sometimes
bet.
we got to revisit. You know, Pete, the bottom line is this. You guys get so long-winded on the panel sometimes. I got to wake up from a nap here and there, and I got to remind the viewers what the best bet was that happened about 90 minutes ago at this point.
By the way,
don't be talking about Leger like that,
no,
please.
Stop it. I was just trying to reinforce that he liked the bet. Now, you, of course, take it and twist it into something that, oh, here he comes, the same bet again. Typical Pete. How about your best bet?
Me, I'll take it.
Yes,
but he already threw shade over at Leger. Come on. He called you long-winded.
He called all of us long.
Yeah. No, we called Leger long. Leger's
best
sitting over
bet,
there.
Pete. Come on, let's go.
My best bet is the Commanders-Eagles game to go over. Okay. I think we're going to see a lot of points here. We talk all week about how do they stop Saquon Barkley. I don't think they do. How do you stop Jaden Daniels? I don't think you do. I think both teams are going to score points. Are going to go up and down the field. I like the over 47.5.
All right, and I'll be quick with mine. I'm just going to tease up both the dogs. I think Commanders and Bills, so 7.5, 12.5. I like Buffalo. I really wrestle with maybe taking Philly down, but the Jurgen stuff, the Hurts stuff, I just think maybe that Jaden
Tommy
can
Teaser's
keep it
taking the points in both games. I like it.
Yes, we are. All right, there we go. Tease them up. Best of luck, everybody. By the way, 2018, the last year that both underdogs won outright. Rams and Patriots were each catching 3 that year and then went on to the Super Bowl. Producer pick, by the way, loves Washington as well. All right, take a look at that Bills injury report. We're still keeping an eye on Balen Spector and Christian Benford, but we do know Taylor Rapp will be out of this game. He had an interception in the divisional round, but dealing with that back and hip that we saw play out at Highmark Stadium. Time to go to the DB dungeon. Logan Ryan, Darius Butler standing by with how Rapp will be missed and who will fill in his place.
What's going on, guys? Welcome to the DB dungeon. You got 2 great defensive backs here to break down all the games today, and starting off with the Bills defensive back for them, Taylor Rapp. You know, he's a key piece of their secondary. Yep. He's really the signal caller back there. He's really stepped in for Micah Hyde and Jordan Poyer. We think about this new regime of secondary they have. Now, he's going to be out, and the safety is very important in covering the tight end. The Chiefs tight end's Travis Kelce going against Mahomes with a rookie safety in there. How do you think that will fare?
I mean, I'm concerned. You know, the thing that can help them is that pass rush up front, because that's the place where the Chiefs have had the most issues protecting the quarterback. You know, you got Tony out there playing tackle instead of guard, so figuring out how you can get pressure up front and help those guys on the back end. But you mentioned the Rapp being the communicator. A lot of those are the things that don't show up on the stat sheet. Getting guys lined up, getting in and out of coverages against this Patrick Mahomes offense. Definitely the concern. Hopefully Benford can play as well. He's their best cornerback on the outside. He'll be in protocol, so I'm leaning towards him playing. I know I will be trying my best to get out there and play, but definitely concerned with Rapp being out, especially with him being one of the last guys to pick Patrick Mahomes off this season.
I think we should take the viewer into the Sean McDermott game plan, defensive game plan room. What do we do with the safety out playing the Chiefs? I think, first of all, Cole Bishop, whoever's stepping in, or DeMar Hamlin, none of them should cover Travis Kelce man-to-man exclusively today. I would find ways to play some zones, hit Travis Kelce coming out the line of scrimmage. I have my great linebackers there, Milano, right? Have them come in and kind of button up that space. But I don't think it's as simple as, oh, Taylor Rapp was going to cover Kelce man-to-man, and now this new safety coming in. I don't think you go that route.
It's tough. And look, I feel like Travis Kelce's going to get his. I think Pete just said it in the last segment. Jaden Dave's going to get his. Saquon Barkley's going to get theirs. The great players are going to get theirs. It's just about not letting Hollywood Brown, go for a 60, 70-yard play. Xavier Worthy, those guys bust the game open. But I think Travis Kelce, he's going to get probably 6, 7, 8 catches, 90-something yards, maybe even get in the end zone. But he's going to get his, but he just can't, hit you with those backbreakers where he's getting 30, 40 yards after the catch. So when 87 gets the ball, you got to staple him to the ground at this point.
And Taron Johnson, number 7, their nickelback,
yes.
all-pro nickelback. He's someone that we got to keep an eye on. Probably going to have a great game. Going to have to be used well by Sean McDermott a lot. Let's talk about another all-pro slot corner. Probably the two best going against each other. Marlon Humphrey's not in the game, but we're going to talk about McDuffie. Right, McDuffie, since he's came in the NFL, has been one of the best guys in the slot. They're getting healthier in the Chiefs secondary, which might bump McDuffie in the slot to match up. What do you think about that?
I'll be interested to see how they use McDuffie, because I know last week they put him on Nico Collins a lot when they were bringing pressure in the Spags defense. You never know what you're going to get with Spags. The things I love about Spags and his defense is the timely blitzes that he has. And as a DB, we love getting a little blitz call for us, so you never know when it's going to be a corner, a safety, some disguise. But Trent McDuffie is phenomenal. He's had more ball production this year as well, so I'll be looking forward to him getting his hand on a couple footballs this game as well. But Trent McDuffie, he's one of those guys, first-team All-Pro, that you can build a secondary around, but you don't know where 22 is going to be, and that's a great weapon to have in your toolbox if you're the defensive coordinator.
We know Spagnuolo runs his defense a lot like our New England Patriot days, a lot of tight man-to-man coverage. So the Chiefs get Jalen Watson back at corner. McDuffie was an All-Pro slot corner. He had to play some outside this year because of injuries and didn't have as good as a year, but still a very good year. He's their number 1 guy. Now you might be able to put him back in the slot because the Bills' number 1 receiver, in my opinion, is Khalil Shakir.
Yes.
Their slot receiver, their third down receiver, their leading receptions, targets. He is extremely effective. Now you're able to put your all-pro guy back in his position to play some tight man-to-man against the Bills' number 1 option. So I think that is the chess match there, and I think that the Chiefs might have a good answer for what the Bills try to do with Shakir.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think that is the best matchup for them to put Trent McDuffie on Shakir, because he is the go-to guy. And even one of these good tight ends, he can match up with them as well, because the thing about that's different this year for the Bills as far as years past is you don't have that number 1 on the outside like Stephon Diggs, who can line up at the X, at the Z, in the slot. So yeah, put 22 on Shakir when you can, and then blitz him, let him play in the run game. I love watching Trent McDuffie play. You mentioned Taron Johnson as well. Love watching him play football also.
If you're a young nickelback or DB, watch this game. There's a lot of great DBs and they're extremely versatile.
For sure.
And let's go over to the NFC side, where we have a team, the number 1 defense in the Philadelphia Eagles, that has a former All-Pro in Darius Slay with a mixture of youth and a rookie, probably up there for Defensive Rookie of the Year, Quinyon Mitchell and Cooper DeJean. So the Eagles have a good mix of youth and veteran experience, and I think these make the best units when you have a combination of both.
Yeah, for sure. Now, since week 5, this has been one of the best unit, I think, in the National Football League. When you talk about Cooper DeJean being in there at that slot cornerback, he does a great job of understanding the spacing, getting reroutes, showing up in the run game, having vision on the quarterback, breaking down. And Quinyon Mitchell, a.k.a. Quintanamo Bay, he could just lock guys up. He had a great outing against Scary Terry the first time these two teams matched up. And then big play Slay. He's back healthy, and he's playing some of his best football again. So Reed Blankenship showed up. He flew around and made a bunch of tackles. I love everything about this secondary. And then on the other side with Mikey Saberstill and those guys, we're going to talk about them as well.
Yeah, I think the Eagles have a secondary where everybody knows their role.
Yes.
Everyone knows their role, right? Slay's okay passing the torch. He's probably going to be a Hall of Famer one day. Quinyon Mitchell, a first-round draft pick, playing like a cornerback 1. Cooper DeJean's comfortable in the slot. You got C.J. Gardner-Johnson.
Man.
He's a spark plug back there.
Tone setter.
He's the tone center, and you have Reed Blankenship making the calls. So they have a perfect unit. Everyone knows their roles. And you hinted at it. Let's go to the Commanders secondary. The last but not least, they brought a guy in. They went and acquired a Marshawn Lattimore.
Yes.
They needed a tone setter. They needed a number 1. they got him to pair him with their rookie corner in Sancho. How do you like that?
I love him. And Marshawn, he got healthy at the right time. You know, they couldn't get him on the field. He's been dealing with a lingering hamstring. I'm sure you dealt with some soft tissue injuries throughout your career. Those are tough to kind of feel like 100% yourself. He had a rough start at it, I think, starting off with Mike Evans in that matchup, but he's gotten better, played well last week. And I think you mentioned it earlier in the show. This is why you bring Lattimore in to cover a guy like A.J. Brown and what Mikey Sanders still was able to do. I saw him at Michigan his last year. He was phenomenal. He was multiple. He can play inside. He can play outside. And then him getting his hands on these footballs last week, this underthrow right here where he undercut Jamel Williams and made that big-time play. And then staying disciplined on this double reverse pass. You know how hard this is on this level to stay on your plays and then make a big-time play on the ball. Turnovers are everything at this point in the season. And right now, the Commanders are plus six turnovers, and haven't given up any on the offense. So this defense right now, they're doing their job.
And you could probably end the sentence here. We know that picks, turnovers, they come in what?
Bunches.
They come in bunches.
Oh, yeah.
So when you get one earlier in the game, like Sancho did, you're going to get that second. Those turnovers come, and we know whoever gets the most turnovers tends to win these games because mistakes are magnified. So the Commanders are believing. When you have a rookie corner, Sancho, go in, play Jared Goff and the Lions at their place and get 2 turnovers. Nobody in Detroit saw that coming. Nobody believes in the Commanders. Why not us? So they're trying to say that, hey, maybe we were the best secondary on the field. You don't know till you lay it down on the line there. So breaking it down, me and my man D-Butt from the DB Dungeon. Back to you, Tommy.
Nice job, fellas. Certainly appreciate it. We'll remind everybody about CBS Sports HQ. News, highlights, and scores. It's all here. And as I always say, it's all free. We'll hit a break. We're getting close to kickoff in Philly. Unsung heroes coming up. And one of our guys went with a former Super Bowl MVP. Welcome back to HQ, presented by Geico. Switch and save. Get more with Geico. Getting close to top of the hour. Game on the right will kick things off first. Washington and Philadelphia from Lincoln Financial Field. And then CBS and Paramount Plus will have the AFC Championship game at 6:30 Eastern. Time now to get more with Geico. Kind of going the unsung hero route here. And Ligier took it upon himself to give not one, but two.
Championship weekend. I'm being quick now.
I'll give you the floor,
It wasn't the exercise.
I'm going to be quick. I'm going Zach Ertz revenge game.
Okay.
I think it's a big game for him. Tyler Higbee had some success last week versus Eagles defense. And then the other game, I'm going to go with Kareem Hunt. This Bills defense has really struggled against the physical run game. Kareem Hunt has been the guy in fourth quarters and late for the Kansas City Chiefs. And they've also struggled with backs out of the backfield. I think Kareem Hunt has a big game. So Zach Ertz and Kareem Hunt.
Two.
Put an apple on his desk, on the teacher's desk there.
Two.
It was quick, though.
Yeah, but it
was quick.
It was quick.
Pete, what do you got?
I'm going with Von Miller.
Whoa, hold on. It's supposed to be unsung.
He's unsung.
He's got like the
I would say this
Super Bowl MVP.
How many years ago was that?
Two overall.
That's when you two were playing.
Fair point.
I mean, look, his pressure rate has been way up in the last month of the season. I think he's going to show up here. I said it all week. Sack, fumble, game over, fourth quarter. He's going to make the play. So Von Miller is going to be that guy for me.
All right, Debo, what do you got?
I'll stay with the Bills. I'm going to go with a real unsung hero, Reggie Gilliam.
Yeah.
Fullback. Now, the Bills, they like to bring in extra linemen. They like to use their fullback, which has kind of been a forgotten about position, I feel like, up until this year. So I'm going with Gilliam. But he like to punch you in the mouth, and that's how if they win this game, it's going to be on the heels of this run game.
2 weeks in a row with a fullback.
I respect that. I won last week.
Okay, here we go.
Didn't work out well for him, though.
They ran the ball with ease last week.
So if Pete did Von Miller, can I do Josh Allen or no? I took the assignment serious. I'm going to go with starting safety Cole Bishop. Right? Taylor Rapp is injured. We don't know how they're going to, we don't know who's coming in, how they're going to do this, but I'm assuming it's going to be Cole Bishop on the depth chart. And I'm going to give you some advice. You don't got to be the best one out there. You just don't got to be the worst. Because Mahomes is going to find the weakest link. That's what these quarterbacks do. You know, as being a DB, if you're the worst one out there and they can smell blood, they're going to come after you all day. So I think a moment's going to come in this game where Cole Bishop's going to have to make a play or do something. And I think if he does his job, that will be good enough to get it done for the Bills. You just can't be the weakest link out there. Cole Bishop's a big day to make a name for yourself.
Cole Bishop.
Pete, you okay with that? You think you're big on Bishop, right?
I think Cole Bishop's a good player. He's a good. I'm telling you, they wanted him to start this year if he hadn't been hurt. So you might hit on that. He might make a big play. Might get a pick and turn that game around.
Logan loves his hits picks when he gets that.
He'll tell everybody.
He'll let everybody know.
You did?
No, it's him.
He'll tell everybody. He'll be on the plane, make an announcement. Look, Cole Bishop. Yeah, Logan picked Cole Bishop.
Before the show?
Clip it, put it on there, and tell our bosses did all right. That's Pete, Ligier, Debut, and Logan. I'm Tommy. Also, our thanks to Todd Furman. 10 seconds, boys. Are we going to do it? Oh!
Pete with the ball.
Nice throw.
No, Pete.
Ligier hit the clock.
Where I put it?
Put some respect in Pete Fisco's name. I challenge him.
There you go.
Enjoy the games, folks. More HQ coming up.
Good throw, Pete.